So today we're going to look at the best gimbal ever for your smartphone. So let's check it out.
Just take a breath and take it deep to show the world that you can see a life that's full of wonder, but it will never be enough.
So the Insta360 Flow today was sent over to me by Insta360 for review, and this is not a sponsored post, and my review will be based on my honest and unbiased opinion. So the Flow comes in 3 packages that you can buy, and the standalone model starts at $159 and moving up the Pro Tripod Kit, which is highly recommended, at $193, and finally the Creator Kit, which comes with a whole bunch of accessories including a light attachment, only at $209. So if you know which model suits you the best and want to get one, please check out my affiliate links in the description below. So when you first take the Flow out of the box, frankly this is the coolest looking gimbal I've ever seen. The casing on the gimbal is actually transparent, so if you can see right over here, everything inside the mechanism and all, you can see them. And it's not just a fake sticker inside, right, but everything that you can see inside here is actually the mechanism and the components inside the gimbal, which is super cool. So the gimbal itself is actually very small and portable, so if you can see, if I put it in front of my face, it's actually really small when folded up, and it should fit into any standard pockets that you have in your jeans or your pants. So it's really very convenient to bring this around, and folding it out is also very easy just with one twist. So from here, all you're going to do is just twist it down and it will turn on and activate, and you can see the arm moved into its position. So honestly, by far the smallest, most intuitive AI-powered 3-axis gimbal. This is a 3-axis gimbal that I personally had the chance to test. So however, there is one drawback that is the only negative that I have to say about this product. The first thing I want to get out of the way is the size of the grip and the handle. So I guess it's good if you have smaller hands, but with big hands like mine, I find it a little bit difficult for me to grip around the controls and the gimbal. So you can see that my fingers are actually outside of the gimbal. So what I'll generally do is to pull the tripod down. So there's actually a tripod hidden inside the stem here, so I can just grip my hands around it, so it makes a bigger platform for me to hold the gimbal on. So the best solution is to get the Pro Tripod Kit that I have here, where it will extend the entire grip and give you a bigger platform. So if you have the Pro Tripod grip right at the bottom here, it creates a much bigger platform for you to hold, which makes it a lot stabler compared to just holding the gimbal itself. So for me, this is the best solution for now. I can hold it. I can also use this big tripod to stand this on a table, which is super cool. So if that's it, I think with this bigger platform, it makes a better fit for someone with bigger hands like me. So that's why I say the Pro Tripod Kit is definitely something that you want to add on with this particular set. So let's go back to the gimbal, because as I mentioned, there is a tripod actually built into this. So all you gotta do is just pull it out from the bottom, and in order for you to open up the legs, all you gotta do is just pull out those extension legs from the tripod itself. So at the bottom here, pull them out, and you can open it up and it will become like a tripod for you to stand on any surfaces. So because these are quite lightweight feet, it's more like to give you a more convenient place to actually put your gimbal on. So this is not the steadiest tripod that you have. It's a little bit wobbly, but because you have the 3-axis gimbal at the top, it really doesn't matter even if your tripod wobbles, it will still stabilize the footage. So at the front of the grip is also a super smart control wheel, and you can basically do everything here. The black portion here is not just a button clicker, but it's like the original iPod that we see with a touch wheel, where you can swipe it to change the gimbal mode. So you can see that the light now is on the first LED here, but if I were to swipe it, you can see that it moves into the next mode. So this is actually a touch wheel, which is pretty cool. Again, if you have fat fingers like mine, it's a little bit inconvenient for me to press, but it still works really well. So right here, you also have a record button, a power button, as well as a portrait and landscape selector. And in the middle is also a joystick for you to manually control your gimbal. Not only that, but at the outside of the controller here is also a zoom control. So while you are using the Insta360 app, you can actually use this to cinematically zoom in and out of your footage. So honestly, this is one of the best controllers I've ever seen implemented on a gimbal. And at the side of the gimbal is also a Type-C port for you to charge up the gimbal. So there is also another Type-C port at the top of the gimbal here, but this is not so much for charging the gimbal itself, but this is a Type-C out, so you can use it to power accessories like the lights, or also to use it to charge up your phone while using it as a power bank. So at the back here, you also get a trigger where you can double click to recenter the camera, which is super cool. So another thing that I want to point out here is the cradle that holds your phone. So Insta360 is smart to use magnets to secure your phone, but this is honestly not the first implementation that we can see. So here you have the holder, so you just connect this piece to your phone and then you can just snap it onto the gimbal and it connects immediately. So we first saw this implementation with devices like the Osmo Mobile 6, which also uses a magnetic holder, which I think is very smart. And the good news is that if you have big phones like the iPhone 14 Pro Max or the S23 Ultra, and the gimbal holds the weight up with no problem at all, no need for calibration like the early days of mobile gimbal. Of course, if the gimbal does go out of axis, there is also a recalibration system inside the app. So the motor inside this arm is also really strong and it can hold up to 300 grams of weight. Swinging it around while you shoot means heavy phone like the S23 Ultra or the iPhone 14 Pro Max can be carried with no issue. Of course, there are some extremely heavy phones out there, so you might want to check your phone's weight before using them. So there is also another secret compartment here at the arm here, and you can open up this cap here and there is actually a cold shoe mount inside here, so you can use it to hold lights, or you can put your mic inside here, which is super smart. Finally, another hidden gem inside this gimbal is the extension arm of the gimbal, and if you see, if I pull on this, the Insta360 really thought of everything, and it uses friction here, which is understandable so that it doesn't fall on its own weight, but it's actually quite hard to pull out. So the gimbal here comes with a 2900 mAh battery pack, and a full charge of 2 hours will give you 12 hours of use, which is honestly quite amazing. It will last you the whole day out. So there are many features here in the gimbal, and many of it is from the Insta360 app. So you can obviously use this with any standard camera app that your phone has, but the best benefit is to use it with the Insta360 app. The main part of the app can be used as a camera app for you to shoot all your videos and photos, and I might argue that this is even better than a native iPhone camera app because it has all the features that a camera has, but more, because now you have all the resolution and frame rate controls inside the app itself. So there is an AI tracking capability, which is very smart because you can hide from the camera and it will still find you after you reappear and starts tracking you again. You can also draw a box on the thing or person that you want to track and use your palm to start or stop recording with tracking, which is super smart. So this is all part of Insta360's Deep Track 3.0 AI tracking, which also includes many other features such as custom framing, auto zooming, dolly zooming, zoom tracking, and also slow-mo tracking. So there is also a very cool panorama feature which allows you to capture 3x3 photos, 180 degrees panorama, or even a wider 240 degrees, and also a full 360 photo where you can scroll around. So you might be asking, why do I need a gimbal? Most phones today already have pretty good stabilization, but you might be wrong because I want to show you when is a good time to use this gimbal. So for smartphones or any GoPros or things like that that uses digital stabilization of your footage, the most important thing is to have great lighting. And even with the action mode from the iPhone, you can see that at walking speed it's pretty decent, but when you start to run, you can see how the iPhone will start to suffer. With the Insta360 Flow, you can get super smooth experience which you can never get handheld. So the next situation to have good stabilization is in low light situations, where it's like late evening or nighttime, where most phones' footage is going to look terrible, but you can still use it with a gimbal even in very low light situations, and you can see the footage is extremely smooth with no issue. So if you are tracking someone and a person is running around or hiding behind objects, the gimbal will still track it when it reappears. Angle wise, if I were to tilt my head past a certain angle, then it starts to not recognize me as my head and it will stop losing track, but for the most part it works pretty flawlessly. So I truly think this is the ultimate mobile gimbal for now. To be honest, I bought the iPhone 14 Pro Max so that I can take travel videos with my family without having to bring around big cameras, and with this gimbal that doesn't take up a lot of space and I can fit it in my pocket, it will definitely enhance my travel video experience for sure, and I definitely love it so much. So that is it for this review. If you find this video helpful, smash that thumbs up button, share this video everywhere, and if you haven't yet subscribed, do consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video.